Spain, a land of paradoxes, the birthplace of dazzling empires and the graveyard of mighty armies, a country where Roman emperors were born, where Moorish palaces still shimmer, and where ships set sail to circle the globe. But it is also a land torn by centuries of civil wars, rebellions, and regional struggles. Behind the flamenco dancers, the bullfights, and the golden beaches lies a story stretching back more than 35,000 years. A story of unity and division, of glory and collapse, of constant reinvention. This is the entire history of Spain, in just 30 minutes. And by the end, you'll see how Spain's turbulent past still shapes its present, and maybe even its future.
Before Spain was Spain, it was Iberia, a rugged peninsula caught between two continents and two seas. It has always been a crossroads. To the north, the Pyrenees connect it with Europe. To the south, the Strait of Gibraltar nearly touches Africa. To the east, the Mediterranean. To the west, the Atlantic and the unknown. Because of this geography, Iberia was never isolated. Traders, conquerors, and settlers constantly arrived, leaving their marks. Each new civilization layered its culture onto the land until the modern nation we call Spain was born. To understand today's Spain, the language, the culture, even its political tensions, we must go back to its very first peoples.
We begin in the deep past. More than 35,000 years ago, hunters painted the walls of caves in Altamira with vivid images of bison, horses, and deer. These masterpieces show us something remarkable, that Iberia has always been a place of imagination, artistry, and expression. Millennia later, around 1000 BC, two groups dominated the land. Along the Mediterranean coast lived the Iberians, while inland, Celtic tribes pushed down from Central Europe. Where they mixed, they became the Celtiberians, fierce warriors, skilled horsemen, and stubborn defenders of their hills. Then came outsiders. The Phoenicians, great traders of the ancient world, sailed from the eastern Mediterranean and founded Cadiz around 1100 BC, a city that still stands today, one of Europe's oldest. The Greeks arrived too, planting colonies such as Emporion, but the greatest rivals were the Carthaginians. From their base in North Africa, they turned Iberia into their military stronghold. One of their generals, Hannibal Barca, launched a campaign that would terrify Rome. In 218 BC, he marched from Spain, across the Pyrenees, through Gaul, and over the Alps with war elephants. It was one of the boldest gambles in history. Tangent. Imagine being a Roman soldier looking up as elephants emerged from the snowy Alps. Few military moves have ever shocked the world so much. But Rome eventually triumphed, Hannibal was defeated, Carthage was destroyed, and Iberia became Rome's prize. From this moment on, Spain's destiny was tied to Rome. Rome called the peninsula Hispania. For 6 centuries it was one of the empire's jewels. Roman engineers carved roads across mountains, roads so well built that many still form the backbone of Spain's highways today. Aqueducts brought water into cities. Amphitheaters echoed with gladiatorial combat. Most importantly, Latin became the language of the people. Over centuries it evolved into Spanish, Catalan, Galician, and Portuguese. The Romans gave Spain its linguistic foundation. Some of Rome's most powerful leaders were Spaniards. Trajan, one of Rome's greatest emperors, was born in Italica, near modern Seville. His successor, Hadrian, also came from Hispania. Later, Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, was linked to this land as well. Christianity spread here too, slowly at first, then decisively. By the 4th century AD, bishops in Spain were already shaping the faith that would later define the nation. But Rome was weakening. Germanic tribes pressed in from the north. In 476 AD, the Western Roman Empire fell. Hispania, once a jewel of Rome, now became the kingdom of the Visigoths. The Visigoths ruled from their capital at Toledo. They blended Roman traditions with their own, building a fragile unity. But this unity collapsed in 711 AD, when Muslim armies from North Africa crossed the Strait of Gibraltar. Within a few years, most of Iberia fell under Muslim control. The new land was called Al-Andalus. Its capital, Cordoba, grew into one of the most advanced cities in the world. It had paved streets, running water, libraries with hundreds of thousands of books, and scholars studying medicine, astronomy, and philosophy. In Cordoba's great mosque, arches seemed to stretch into infinity. In Granada, the Alhambra Palace would later dazzle visitors with its intricate beauty. This was also a land of convivencia, a coexistence, though never perfect, of Muslims, Christians, and Jews. Knowledge flowed across cultures. Ancient Greek works were preserved and translated. new discoveries were made. Tangent. Imagine living in 10th century Cordoba. While much of Europe was in the so-called Dark Ages, here street lamps lit the night and doctors performed surgeries. But Al-Andalus was never entirely secure. In the rugged north, small Christian kingdoms held out: Asturias, Navarre, Leon. From these seeds began the Reconquista, the centuries-long struggle to reclaim the peninsula. This war would last nearly 800 years, longer than the entire existence of the United States today. The Reconquista defined medieval Spain. Kingdoms rose and fell: Castile, Aragon, Navarre, Portugal, each fighting, sometimes against Muslims, sometimes against one another. Legends were born. El Cid, a knight of the 11th century, became a national hero, though in reality he fought for both Christian and Muslim rulers depending on who paid him. By the 13th century, Christians controlled most of the land. Only Granada remained under Muslim rule. Then came a marriage that changed history. In 1469, Ferdinand of Aragon married Isabella of Castile. Their union brought together two powerful kingdoms. Together, Ferdinand and Isabella became the Catholic monarchs. In 1492, their forces captured Granada, completing the Reconquista. Spain was now united under Christianity. But that same year, something else happened. They financed an ambitious sailor named Christopher Columbus. His voyage across the Atlantic opened the door to the New World. In the same moment, Spain had both united its homeland and launched itself onto the world stage as a global empire.
The 16th century was Spain's golden age. Conquistadors like Hernán Cortés and Francisco Pizarro toppled mighty empires in the Americas. Ships returned with mountains of silver and gold. Spain's kings, the Habsburgs, ruled an empire so vast that people said the sun never set on it. From the Philippines in Asia to Mexico in the Americas, from Antwerp in Europe to Morocco in Africa, Spain was everywhere. Philip II built the Escorial, a palace monastery symbolizing Spain's power and devotion. Under his rule, Spain fought wars across Europe and sent the mighty Armada against England in 1588. Meanwhile, Spanish culture blossomed. Miguel de Cervantes wrote Don Quixote, often called the first modern novel. Artists like El Greco and Velázquez painted timeless masterpieces. But cracks appeared. The endless silver caused runaway inflation, bankrupting the empire. Wars drained the treasury. Rival powers, England, France, the Dutch, challenged Spain at sea and on land. Tangent Spain's silver fleets were so vast they changed the global economy. Prices rose everywhere. Yet Spain itself, flooded with wealth, found it harder to compete in trade. Too much treasure and too little industry. By the 17th century, Spain was in decline. Once the mightiest empire in Europe, it now struggled to hold itself together. In 1700, the Habsburg line died out. The Bourbon dynasty from France took over, bringing reforms to modernize Spain. Roads improved, industries grew, but Spain could not regain its old dominance. Then came Napoleon. In 1808, his armies invaded. The Peninsular War was brutal. Ordinary Spaniards rose up, ambushing French troops in what became known as guerrilla warfare, a word born in Spain. But while Spaniards fought the French, their colonies in Latin America saw a chance. Leaders like Simon Bolivar and José de San Martin launched revolutions. By the 1820s, Spain had lost nearly all of its American empire. The 19th century at home was no easier. Spain endured civil wars between liberals and conservatives, monarchists and republicans. The Carlist Wars tore regions apart. Governments rose and fell. Industrialization lagged behind Northern Europe. In 1898, Spain suffered a final humiliation. After a brief war with the United States, it lost Cuba, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines. The once mighty empire was gone. Spain was now a secondary power struggling to define itself. The 20th century was even more turbulent. In 1931, Spain declared a republic, but political divisions deepened. In 1936, civil war erupted, Republicans against nationalists. It was a brutal conflict, a dress rehearsal for World War II. Hitler and Mussolini sent planes and troops to aid Franco's nationalists. The Soviet Union supported the Republicans. The world watched as cities like Guernica were bombed from the air, immortalized by Picasso's haunting painting. After 3 years, Franco triumphed. He ruled Spain as a dictator from 1939 to 1975. Under Franco, political parties were banned, dissent crushed, and the country isolated. Yet in the 1960s, Spain began to modernize as tourism and industry grew. When Franco died in 1975, the nation faced a choice: collapse into chaos or attempt something bold, democracy. Spain chose democracy. King Juan Carlos I oversaw a peaceful transition. The 1978 Constitution created a parliamentary monarchy and granted autonomy to regions. Spain joined the European Union in 1986, hosted the 1992 Barcelona Olympics, and became a modern democracy. Its economy surged, its culture, from film to football, captured global attention, but old tensions remained. Basque separatists waged a violent campaign for independence. In Catalonia, calls for separation continue even today. Once again, the ancient theme of unity and division returns. Still, Spain remains one of the most visited nations on earth, admired for its art, architecture, cuisine, and spirit. It is a modern country, but one deeply shaped by its long, complex past. Spain's history is not a straight line. It is a mosaic of cultures and conquests. Romans and Moors, emperors and explorers, rebels and poets. From the cave paintings of Altamira to the skyscrapers of Madrid, Spain has been a stage where civilizations clashed, blended, and created something new. Its story is a reminder that history is never just the past. It is the foundation of the present and perhaps the key to the future. If you enjoyed this journey through the history of Spain, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more deep dives into world history, and tell me in the comments, which country's story should we explore next?